Hello, welcome to Summon Stories. We are here in Chicago for the Darkness Emergent event and talking about this LARP and figuring out a lot of things. And we figured a good person to talk to about it is Daphne Reeder, CEO of By Night Studios. And I heard you do a few other things as well. You have a couple other interests.
I wear a lot of hats, actually. I am the owner of Drake Media Films. It's an independent film company. We focus on horror and sci-fi, and I do actually a lot of Vampire the Masquerade themed things. 2 movies and a series that I'm currently working on actively. Also a model, singer, I dance a little bit, semi-professional cosplayer and prop builder, and as of May of this year, semi-professional mermaid.
Okay, so it sounds like you have just lots of free time, and
We'll call it that, yeah.
yeah, okay. I think knowing what we know now, just that, we ask everyone this: if someone wanted to summon you, they've created their summoning circle. There's 3 items or things that they're going to gather in order to bring you to them. What should those 3 items be?
First, you would need my familiar, which is my cat.
Hey.
Russian blue, 25 pounds, loves everybody. Make sure that he's laying on his back and that you've pet his stomach.
Okay, so not just the familiar, the proper familiar
Oh, yeah,
pose.
of course.
Okay.
Then a watermelon Red Bull.
Okay.
That's very important. And after that, I would probably say a skull of some kind.
Any skull will do.
Yeah, I enjoy skulls. They're really pretty.
Skull, a familiar, and a watermelon rebel. That's a pretty almost traditional summoning circle.
Just about.
Congratulations. You and demons seem not have that much difference when it comes to summoning.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what flavor Red Bull they like. I like the watermelon.
That's true. Yeah, that's the big one.
No classic Red Bull here.
Okay. Besides all these other things, we're new to LARP. I'm assuming you're not new to LARP. So you want to tell us a little bit about your LARP journey and how it wound up as CEO of a LARP company.
Wow. I originally started doing tabletop, so I played things like Pathfinder, D&D. I was that type of nerd at first. Then I was introduced to Vampire the Masquerade, and my at the time boyfriend was like, "Hey, so you want to play VTM?" I was like, "I don't know what that is." D&D, but with fangs. Okay, I'm listening.
Okay.
And so then I got into doing tabletop vampire. And ironically, I took a complete 360 somewhere else and did LARP at a fantasy LARP. Because someone said, "Do you want to do a LARP?" And I said, "Well, what? Explain." D&D, but you take your character, you dress up as your character, and then you go in the woods and hit people with foam weapons. And I said, "Sign me up, I'm totally doing that." So I did fantasy LARP for about 15, 20-ish years. I've been gaming, like I said, from D&D like 25 years. And then from D&D tabletop, vampire tabletop, fantasy LARP, then someone said, "There's vampire LARPs too." And I said, "Oh, sign me up. I already got this. I'm already good at hitting people with foam weapons." And they're like, "Oh, wait, no, you don't hit people. You just do social intrigue." And I was like, "Oh, that's even more dirty. I will totally do this." So I actually took my tabletop character and reformatted her for the LARP experience. And again, I'm an actress, I'm a theater kid, I've already done fantasy LARPs, I've done tabletop in character with accent and everything. And so for me, it was just a smooth transition. As far as becoming the CEO, I did a lot of marketing for BNS for a little bit. Got approached and said, "Hey, so how deep into BNS would you like to be?" So I went from doing just side marketing. I then became a marketing director and then VP of marketing, and then shadowed the former president until he said, "Okay, I'm going to be pulling back and resigning. Here is your new CEO." And I was like, "Oh, that's me. Hi." And that's been my journey. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, 25 years in the making.
A lot of the journey was you're doing this cool thing you like, and then someone comes along and like, what if you do this and we add this element, and you yes-anded your way into CEO essentially.
Yeah, it's sandwich. I made a very delicious Subway sandwich of LARP.
Perfect. So, what? Tell us about this event, the Darkness Emergent. What sandwich are you building here for the people?
For Darkness Emergent, I'm actually really proud and really excited. We're doing a chronicled event. So every event that you've been to plays a part in the next events that you go. People are bringing the characters they created in San Antonio, which was our first one. And you gain experience points for each chronicle that you go to. And we move it to different cities. So that way there's different plots. And so it does not get boring. That's what I find really exciting about it, and the fact that things that my character knew in San Antonio are still in play and relevant. And future events, I can still use stuff from San Antonio at our next event. And it builds like this really nice web and this really nice network.
Which, as many of us know, that's the difficult thing about anything TTRPG, scheduling, figuring out. And you decided we'll figure everything out for you, and you decided it's too easy to organize in a normal game. You guys took it up to the level of changing cities, hundreds of people involved, new factions, connecting character stuff, a continuous story.
And what's great is you have the overarching story and plot, but each city is also its own. There's like mini stories interspersed in it, and that's also what I really love about Darkness Emergent. In fact, San Antonio, we had someone who, sweet little girl, she wanted to be a Nosferatu, makeup was immaculate. She comes up to me and she goes, I'm scared I'm not going to be able to get into like any kind of plots. I said, there's 5 plots that are going to be running at the same time. So it's like real life. It's not like we're all just waiting in the wings for this plot to finish and then we go to here. It is something's happening over there while something's happening over there. Well, I have something to tell you about that thing over there, which may or may not affect either of these things. So again, like real life, something happens somewhere and you're always going to find something to do.
Yeah, so you're not like waiting for your scene or your turn or for the storyteller to ask what you want to do. You're living in an active game the entire time.
Yeah, it is a fully immersive world. And that's why we also have multiple storytellers just walking around. And each storyteller has their own mini plots, but can also help with the overarching plot. So again, you're never bored. There's always something to do.
Why are you doing this?
The joking answer is because I hate myself. But I say that about my cosplays and the body painting panels that I've done for conventions, the mermaiding that I do. It's not that I hate myself. It's actually, I just love immersion and I love acting. And any way that I can do that without having to worry about, okay, now I'm on a movie set. I can just act casually because it's an improv movie.
Yeah, that's good. And I think as someone who's been a storyteller, perma DM for many, many years, it's, to me, with all the things with LARP, I'm like, that's a labor of love.
It is.
Because you guys are really, everything you put into it, not just like the cool events and the places, the venues and all that stuff, but just the amount of organization and attention to detail and getting all the players involved, like that's, hats off to you. The hate yourself thing. I was like, you have to, but also it's like that's such a labor of love.
Yeah, and we want people to have the most immersive event and experience that they can. We actually the San Antonio event, we actually had a scene where there was a coterie and they had just done like this really glorious bonding ceremony just privately, and one of them was called out as being a traitor, and his coterie mate volunteered to pull his fangs out, and it was just so powerful and emotional that they stood in front of the prince, and there's like the seneschal, who's this tall, imposing creature with like this hood, and they got into it where people were like tearing up, and being able to pull that kind of emotion from just pretending to be a vampire. It's I live for moments like that.
Yeah, it almost makes me think of too is like I was talking about, you're always in the game, but also you almost get the best of both worlds. Where like you could be an audience member at some points, where like you get to do all these cool things yourself, and then yeah, all of a sudden people are being rounded up because someone's gonna get their fangs pulled out. And you're like,
And
what?
then
it's
and
like,
you go from being participant to I'm now watching this scene unfold, and you're invested because you're sitting there going, oh, those two are basically like brothers, and he has to pull his own brother's fangs out. Oh, that's intense. And the way that they played off of each other, like the reluctance in the first guy's faces, he's just doing this and looking away, and then he just, oh, it was really good. Like, and then afterwards we were all just sitting there going, like once game was called, we were just going, that was powerful. That was really good. And then of course we always, after every game, we always do follow-ups and go, okay, is everyone okay? How are you all feeling? Like just making sure that like there's no bleed over from like something happened to a character and now I'm real life angry at someone. We make sure that that doesn't happen. So we take every precaution to make sure that like everyone feels safe, everyone feels okay before, during, and after. And if you need to step away, we have like little hand gestures where we're like, okay, and they're like, okay, and then person walks off. And
awesome. What advice would you have for someone who's maybe not as brave as you? Who's like, if someone offers you something, you're down for it. Where there's I think a bit of an intimidation factor with LARP, where it's like I'm not an actor, I'm not this. Like, where again, I think a lot of labor of love comes in for the people running it. But I think at a glance seems like it is asking a lot of the players. Though such a cool example too of like, yeah, just being there and witnessing things. But anyway, what's your advice for someone who's likes the idea of a LARP, but is nervous, or what they need that little push to get into it?
Honestly,
what's your push?
I would say get friends. Get your friends in on it too. If you've got friends who are also interested in the same things, create characters together. Create your own little coterie of like your friends, so that way you're not the only person going in for the first time. It's all of you. You're all. And what I used to tell people, you don't have to be the oldest, most powerful thing in the room. Mm-hmm. Be a freshly embraced vampire who has no clue what's going on, because that way, if you don't know the mechanics, that's fine. You're a brand new vampire. You don't know how things work yet. And that, I've had people who I've told them that advice and they're like, I've learned so much now because I can ask things about the mechanics in character because my character doesn't know. And this community is ridiculously friendly. There's always somebody who will help you out and go, oh, well, you're going to find out this. Okay, well, this is how this mechanic works. And then you're going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. Is that okay? And we always ask for consent about things. But yeah, and if you don't have that group of friends and that safety net of like, these are my best buddies, it is super easy to find someone that you can connect with. You can say, oh, I really like what they're wearing. Start a conversation about it. And again, by the end of the night, you're going to have at least 15 friends that you never knew you had.
There you go. And also, I noticed you have like the faction system. There's a lot of ways where you're going to be connected to people no matter what happens.
Yeah,
like
you're going to be connected by either similar clan or similar faction or the factions that we set up. So either there's going to be oh, we're both Toreadors, okay, or oh, we're both Camarilla, we're both Anarchs, or oh, we're both in the Auroral Shield. Oh, so we both like the same kind of things, like mystery and ghosts and stuff. Hey, let's talk more. So you're gonna find a group, no matter what.
Yeah, I was impressed with the character creation process, where there's options where like, hey, I have this idea in my head, or I have a character already play in the tabletop. I want to port them over. How does this work? Versus someone's like, I love the idea of this. That's all I got for you. And you have people are like, I got you, and they'll work with you to make the character. And make sure they're integrated in and all of that.
And then if people don't have ideas and they're like, I just want to play and I have no idea what to do, we have pre-made sheets for you where you can say, do you like this idea? Do you like this idea? Oh, now you've got an idea. Okay, let's talk about your idea. And again, super helpful. We're there to make sure that you have the best time that you can have.
I think you're doing an excellent job so far. I was thinking, I've been going to the panels, talking to other guests and things like that. I was like, this seems like such a bigger, scarier thing to jump into. I was like, this is in a lot of ways easier to transition into than TTRPG, because you show up to a table, TTRPG table, and if you don't know all the mechanics or anything, a good group is still going to help you along, but gameplay will have to stop occasionally. This, I'm like, you really can go in like, try it out, and you're not going to disrupt anything.
And what's funny is I've actually played entire scenes with, like, when we first came out with V5, I'm not going to lie, I skimmed through the book, and there were some mechanics, no clue. And they had to do with my clan. I went an hour and a half without having to ask anyone because my character wasn't doing anything nefarious or sneaky. I was just socializing, gathering information. And then afterward, I said, okay, so if I want to do this, and someone's like, okay, then you do this, this, and this. Okay, thanks. And then go back into the scene, like sometime later in another location, utilize what I've just learned. Hey, I learned a mechanic. And it's always super easy. Like you can even pull like one of the SQs off to the side and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. How does this mechanic work? And they'll tell you.
Yeah, there's a really cool thing where you can, because you have multiple STs running around, asking for help, again, isn't stopping anything. It's perfectly, or there's a lot of ways to do it in character too, which is like what you talked about, which is fun of what's going on. If you're also, I love the idea if you could just gossip to learn story and plot of like what's going on, what's this person's story, and someone's gonna tell you, and even if it's not accurate, it's gonna be fun for whatever they told you and the reasons they decided to tell you, and I'm very excited. And then, are you participating in as well?
Oh yes, I will be playing my Malkavian.
Okay.
Her name is, depending on which social circle you run in, she will tell you her name is Trinity St. Cloud. Because in the Camarilla, they tell you never tell someone your full name because they can use that against you. They can't find Trinity St. Cloud listed anywhere because that's not her actual name. Her name really is Elizabeth Hanover. She's British. She's a head doctor of psychiatry and psychotherapy in London. So I do speak with a British accent, whole 9 yards. She has her best friend Jeremy, who's a little doll about like this big, and she'll bring him up so you can say hi to him. I have blood bags that have wine in them, or sometimes red Kool-Aid, depending on how thirsty I am. Usually cherry Kool-Aid is the best. And I will sit there and just pull it out and they're like, what's that? Juice box. Wide eyes, everything. I get fully into it. I've played her for about 23 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's been tabletop, she's been LARP, she's been on Discord RPs. I will be bringing her, and apparently everyone seems to love her, and everyone tells me their secrets. It's great.
What other event can you go to where the CEO's drinking Kool-Aid out of a bag and having you talk to a doll? And that's perfect. Here. Well, this is a related question. Vampire mermaids. When's this happening?
Ironically, I have been asked. Funny you should mention that. There is an event, Endless Nights, I believe it's called. They have them in Florida. They have Florida, LA. They had an Endless Nights in Transylvania this year. I'm really sad that I missed that. That sounded kind of cool. But the person that runs it actually did ask me if I would be interested in being a vampire mermaid for one of their events and swim in the tank.
Not expect a real answer to that question.
I wasn't expecting to get asked. I was like, hey, by the way, I know we're talking about vampire stuff, but look at this really cool mermaid tail. And she's like, can you do a vampire mermaid? Yeah. Yes, I
I
can.
thought you'd never ask.
Strangest question? Okay. Yes, I can. So, yeah, that's actually
You
going
might
to be
be
a
the
thing.
most qualified person to be a vampire mermaid in the world.
I am pretty excited about that. That might be a thing next year. So we'll see how that works out.
Okay. Okay. Any final remarks or message that
Oh,
you want to
goodness.
throw out there?
I would just basically tell people don't stop gaming. Have fun. It's okay to try new things. And if you're scared, you know what? Everyone started off scared. No one ever was born an expert in anything. So it's a learning process. So I would probably say learn, make your mistakes, and just learn. That's the fun of it.
Absolutely. All right. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And all right, that's it for us. Thanks.